Okay, let's talk about some more blending situations that you can run into. And many times people present challenges to other people in their groups and things like that on just corners to blend. I think that's great. It's interesting and fun. A case like this, though, when someone asks you to put Class A blends on this, what I would like you to consider is that these are all faceted surfaces. So they're, by faceted, I mean that's planar. So not many surfaces in a Class A modeler's model will exist. So not many planar areas, maybe mounting surfaces, but not much other than that. So in this case, when I really got this model, it was like this. So the person had predefined some radius values to use, so 2, 5, etc. And this is just the round tool solving these with circular radii blends. So we have really three types of blends that I see appeared in this scenario. In this case, it's 5 blends into one corner. And it's really the same up here almost, 5 blends into one corner. And then we've got a three radii into a corner or a ball corner in these 4 locations. And then at the end, it's 4 surfaces into a corner. And this is the layout of those surfaces. So we have a little Z pattern right here that fades into nothing. Okay, so these are all tangent because they're just simply radii. So at this point, it's all patch structure. So the first thing I do in this kind of situations is delete most anything that the computer generates in these middle portions, and just start to break it down into some areas like this. I'll use the random shading where I know that in this view, and I've got a drawing view right here set up. So in this view right here, I'm going to decide how these blends are going to make their way around this corner. Okay, so just by looking at this, I see that this is a fillet on both sides, so it's negative or concave, and this is negative. That's negative, but they don't really go this way very well. They kind of run together, and I think these run together. So I think my plan is to take this fillet around here and see what happens on this edge and decide on a patch structure right here pretty quickly. So I'll just draw some things in here. I'll use the paint pencil tool. We'll use black here. And I know that I want this fillet, and it's going to be coming into this corner, and I want to stop it basically there, where it intersects this corner. Okay. Then on this side, I want to stop it here, and it's going to be this corner, right? That blend coming in. So we've got this blend coming in and stopping right where it intersects this blend, and a similar situation on this side and here. So that's setting up how this blend and this blend will be trimmed off. So I'm just going to switch to blue here maybe and say, well, I know that I want to trim this off collinear here and collinear here. So we need a curve that draws in between those two that's collinear. And we need the same thing on this side, right? And now that we've done that, we know that this fillet going this way wants to hit this fillet going this way. So to do that, we need a blend across here. So just something like that. And then across this bottom right here, we need something. So I would just strike in, a curve in here that goes across. Okay, and that looks pretty good. But if I switch back to black for a second, and I look at where this fillet naturally comes down and intersects with its friend here, I can't move that spot. You don't want to start taking this fillet and bending it in to hit that point from both sides and moving the tangent lines around. That's a no-no. Those surfaces are pure. They're clean right now. They haven't been had their radii messed up. You have to leave those where they are. So really what we need to do now is trim this fillet back to that location and trim this fillet back to that location. Now they intersect at a nice point right here. And then I just want to take this curve and just extend it this way and this way. So those two extensions. Now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 sides just to fill in basically this little area right here. It's going to control that when it's done, but its surface is going to be 4-sided and cover this whole area. Okay? So let's just lay some geometry out to make this happen, because we're going to trim convert this surface, and this surface. All right, so I'm just going to turn back on my stuff here, and let's make a couple curves. I'm going to turn my shading off and come over here, grab my blend curves, and I need to make a blend curve that goes from here, where that intersection point is. I want to be G1, degree 3, right, inline, and the same over here, fillet down to this point, degree 1, inline, and then we look at those control vertices. Next step, look at the surface I want to trim convert and turn its hulls on. Now we look down that surface, okay, and I need those control vertices on the curve to line up with the control vertices on the surface. That will give me an optimal fit between the curve and the surface. Other than that, I'm going to be distorting something. Okay, so that's what we want. All right, and then we want to trim convert that. So I'm going to use projection, normal, this person to this curve back here, and it creates my trim converted piece, and I'm going to stash that here on my construct layer along with this curve. Okay, now I need to do that with the rest of these. So I've got a couple curves here. This was made, right, it's supposed to sit on those hulls. It's a little bit off. All right, you got to be sure when you make these curves to trim convert these surfaces that the control vertices lie correctly in the structure. Okay, we'll check this side. Those look good. So I'm going to make this the construction layer. Let's do a couple of trim converts here. Those look good. Assign these to here. Last thing we have is this curve that was put in. Now that's a blend curve. It's only tangent. So this is again where we kind of see that I don't want to go curvature here. That's not necessary because nothing is curvature. All these same principles would apply if it's curvature. So the next thing we need to do is create our fourth side over here. Okay. So temporarily, I'm just going to turn off that geometry and look at this. So I am going to use the extend tool with merge on, and I'm going to extend this back to that location, and then use the non-proportional extend back to that location. Same with this. Extend the whole thing back to the longest point, grab the other corner, bend it back to the shortest point. Okay. Curve, duplicate. We could grab this edge and this edge. Okay. I'll grab these surfaces. And I know now that I need right in line, I need that. And right in line, I'd like that. Okay. Now that we've done that, I can delete those curves. We don't need them anymore. And I just want to come over here in this end view and just look at this control structure. And it's a similar principle to everything we've been talking about. We don't want that little weird zigzag in there. We want it to be as clean as possible. And what we're setting up in the corners right here is collinear situations on both sides, okay? So we have collinear here and collinear here. We've already found that collinear on all sides typically makes a good corner. So we'll turn this back on. So we have 1, 2, now we need 3, 4 sides, and that's how we'll use this as our trim curve. So how can I get that? Well, I'm going to go to the top view here, and I'll just rotate with this with the right mouse button. Curve, duplicate this fillet edge and this fillet edge. I'll go to extend new, so merge is off. So it creates a new piece, and I'll extend it out past this trajectory. And then I'll extend this piece to that piece. Okay. Now we need to go back to extend, and we can extend this back to here. And now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 sides. We just need to get these to fit together. So I am going to create a degree 2 curve between here. Grab this control vertice, move it to the middle. Grab this guy, move it to the middle, and we can get rid of this curve. Now I've got my 4 curves set up for that surface. All right. Surfaces, boundary square. I'll go to G0 first. I'm just going to pick these. For some reason I go clockwise. It really doesn't matter. All right. So for boundary number 1, I know I want tangent. Boundary number 4, I know I want tangent. Let's look at the center. Okay, so we're tangent on those 2 sides, and when I look at this set of control vertices, and I will stretch this view out if you can't see what I see, but I see this as going down, up, and down, up. So I think that this control vertice should be tucked down here a little bit. So I'm going to grab this, that moves it up, this moves it down. Maybe we'll do this a little bit. Nope, that looks like it just makes them look weird. That doesn't look good. So I'm just going to leave it about right there. All right, with that control vertice tucked down like that. It looks pretty good. All right, we don't need those curves anymore. Alt-O. Turns off all my controls. All right, now I'm going to go to my construction layer. All I really need now is that curve and this surface, these trim converted surfaces on my creation layer, and we've got our minimum geometry here. And what I'd like to check now is my current kind of construction. So I've got a nice raw edge here, raw edge, raw edge. Those are all going to fit nicely. On this edge, I've got a surface and a curve. Okay. Now, what I would like to do is adjust this curve so that its control vertices somewhat sit on that surface. So even though we're going from Y or U to V, there's nothing wrong with making these control vertices look like they sit on that structure. Okay? It's not perfect in all times, so now I'm just going to lose my history and make a few just tiny adjustments right here. Okay, now I don't know that that sits on there, so what we're going to do is surface project, and onto this surface we're going to project a curve matching the original, and we are going to project that curve. All right, and it shows us the projection and how close we get to the surface. Okay, so from there to there we did make a deviation, but this curve is only 0.001 off of surface, so we'll use that as our build curve. and we'll use square again. Got some settings from before. So let's go to G0, and we want to pick, let me leave that open, we want to pick this side, his friend, and his partner. Okay. Number 1, we want G1. Number 3, we want G1. And number 2, we want G1. And now we need explicit control. All right. And let's look at our collinear options in here. And let's set number 1 to tangent, number 2, and number 3 all to tangent. Okay. And we can check our continuity if we want. We've got a little error down here. All right. We could even say, well, you know what, in this direction, just go ahead and be 5, because I do have 5 control vertices on this curve. So really, to match this curve, I need 5. All right. Now, I'm going to do a little control vertice tuning. I say we don't need the curve anymore, so I'll delete that. Okay. Slide CV, and I'm going to slide these 2 CVs up just a little bit so they don't seem to be going downhill. This control vertice, it was on a projected down to this surface basis. Okay, it wasn't necessarily made to be continuous with that surface over there, and we have to maintain this continuity. All right, now let's check our gap and our tangency to here. So we just simply do that with a surface project. We could also use, you know what, let's just try align. Align this G0. I'm going to go normal to this. We have continuity for that. We could turn on our diagnostic and see that we're off by 2 degrees. So let's go to G1. All right. We've got tangent on all sides. Minimum set of control vertices. And we built that blend. And look at that. We've got a couple of errors down there. Now, what could cause that? So I would begin to investigate this a little bit. And I probably should have checked this before, but let's just say I knew something might happen here. So when I look at this kind of diagnostic, I see that the actual gap, no matter that the height is going up here, it's the arrows are the direction of gap. And I know that this surface is planar. So to have a gap in that direction is quite strange. And if we look over here, and we do have a small gap, we look over here, we get the same thing. Okay. So I'm going to do as my first check, I'm going to untrim this surface. Okay. Grab these control vertices or curves on surface, reproject them and try to retrim it. So I'll go to 3D, grab these 2, trim it to here, evaluation, check tangent, and see how we do. Okay, so that fixes it. All right. So oftentimes when you get little weird errors like that, you can fix that simply by reprojecting some curves on surface. Again, a lot of these surfaces came in trimmed previously. So we'll delete our locators, and that's the 5-corner blend. We could shade it just a touch here, maybe would help. I'll turn down my surface edges so you can still see where they are. Let's leave the curves on surface off too. So we get a pretty decent blend. Again, these are tangent, but nice. And Bezier. You can apply the same techniques and make this curvature. Okay. So next video we'll do the 4-corner blend right here. Okay, let's do that next.